Research in history, like many other activities, jigsaw puzzles, Nero Wolfe novels, is often fun just for the sheer challenge, the tracking down of the missing piece of the puzzle, the putting together of the last of the clues, the opening of the newspaper to the precise date you've been searching for. However, sometimes historical research moves beyond solving mysteries, beyond intellectual speculation, into an area we can only apologetically label human understanding. Such understanding is difficult to speak of. It belongs to the heart rather than to the head. But when the joy of the search turns into a feel for people in their own times and their own tragedies, then heart and mind join. Academic study becomes more than mere exercise. I'm June Underwood. I teach literature and women's studies at Emporia State University. And when I first came to Kansas, I knew nothing about it. Now I've seen the Cottonwood River, pondered the architecture of the Welfare Association building in Emporia, been bitten by chiggers at the one-room school in Chase County. But one of the best insights into Kansas that I got came from this composition book, which was lent to me by Bonnie Short, president of the Chase County Historical Society. It has very little identification, just Breese and Gray, general merchandise and drugs, Main Street, Elmdale, Kansas. And inside there are letters copied over, talking to Mama, signed, your loving daughter, Julia.
Now, Mama, if it is at all necessary for me to be at home, let me know and I will come at once. Not that I wish to shirk my studies, but that you and Papa are more precious to me than all the education earth can give. Your loving, Julia Breese.
When I read this, I make the usual mental notes. Young, female, away at school, and from Elmdale. Certainly the language sounds like it's 19th century, not after 1915 or so. Perhaps from the normal school at Emporia. Lots of teenage girls went there.
We'll send programs showing my location at different hours. I ought, if grades are good, to pass by Christmas, and do pray that they are. I am fearful lest I cannot keep up. Pray I shall like it here, Mama. I ought to, for everybody is so kind.
The letters are obviously copied over. She's new at school. The Breeses were prominent early citizens of Elmdale. To pass by Christmas, probably some kind of... There are no dates given.
Dearests, this is an additional page telling you how fine I feel, mentally, physically, and always. Have just returned from a YM and YWCA meeting, heard an excellent and uplifting address by Professor Hill.
It must be Emporia, the Kansas State Normal School, which is now the Emporia State University. There was a Professor Hill who taught Latin at the Normal, and he became president in 1906. There are a lot of pictures of him in the college archives, generally taken from the same angle. He's always the handsomest man there.
My, I think I am the most fortunate girl alive, having such a kind and loving papa, and a blessed, blessed mama. Not having to earn my way through school, the advantage of a good Christian home, training, a pleasant room and roommate, good health, and numerous comfortable and pleasant things. Now it all lays with me what I shall make of myself.
If Professor Hill became President Hill in 1906, Julia must have gone to school before then. The YWCA appears on campus by the 1890s. So if we look in the college rule books before 1906, we might be able to find her. A class album from 1902 shows Hill as the class teacher. And in the 1903 bulletin, in a list of new students, Julia's name appears.
Professor Hill said today, as you study, to perfect yourself as a student. So should you work hard to perfect your Christian character. Now, dearests, don't worry about me, for I am all right, and in appreciation of God's kindness through others will do my best. I applied for membership in YWCA. Do you object? A good night kiss to each.
10 months after I began to be interested in Julia Breese, Mrs. Short gave me some letters. The return address on the letters is L.B. Breese, Elmdale, Chase County, Kansas. The letters are to Miss Julia Breese, 312 East 12th Street, Emporia, residence J.B. McClure. The date on the first letter is September 11th, 1903. Her mother must have mailed it immediately after Julia left.
Dear Julia, well, your 2 old orphans got left today. Business is reasonably good. I have a nice basket of grapes. Wish you had them. I sold John Holmes 6 bottles of prickly ash bitters for $5. He thinks his stomach is out of fix. I prefer you should get reserved seats at the lecture course and select a seat carefully. I am glad your roommate is satisfactory. The angel cats are doing nicely and Duchess is looking well again. Maggie and Frank are coming some night to play flinch. Your voice sounded tired over the phone. Were you tired? Lots of love, my dearest girlie. Mama.
Clara Bailey Breese attended K-State and taught 4 years at Waltz School before she married Bud Breese. She worked in her husband's store. The Breeses had 1 child.
Give a smile to all my pupils and tell them I am sorry I cannot be there. Papa, you must write. You can take a few minutes and tell me about Cupid, your farming and business troubles, the cats, etc. Do you feel better than when I left? Sure, some of the worried look has left your brow. My scrawly writing says I must quit. All my love to you both.
Tell me of your club, your roommate and yourself. Did Roy ride to Emporia with you, or was he bashful? What did Parker do for you? Bless him if he smoothed the way. And by the way, he calls you Jimmy, but never Sonny Jim. So long, honey, and may the blessings of heaven rest upon you. With love, Mama. P.S. Sleep lots, and 8 hours a night, Papa says. Well, Jim, take care of yourself.
These letters from Mrs. Breese are much more direct, more natural, more lively. But the others, the copied over letters, are still a mystery. The letter from Julia, for example, is on a separate sheet of paper, attached to the other letters by a straight pin. Pinning letters together is very strange, and most of the letters from Julia are so pious, so good sounding. Not at all like a normal 16-year-old.
Dear Papa and Mama, your letter received. I'm glad business is good. So pleased that Papa wrote. Would like to be pleased again. Professor Ellsworth is my class teacher, the one to whom I tell my troubles and who arranges my rhetoricals. When I get discouraged, I repeat, I will lift up mine eyes into the hills from whence cometh my help. And it encourages me. Do care for each other and call on me to help whenever I am at all needed. All my love. May you prosper.
The next letter from Mrs. Breese is as casual as the first.
I got up late and have gotten breakfast. Washed the dishes, brushed the front porch and dining room, emptied the fridge pan, fixed up the bedroom, slopped the chickens, fed the cats 3 times, and now can step on the porch without a howl greeting me. Visited an hour or so with Maxine, washed my neck and combed my hair, and gave Edith her instructions for the forenoon's work. I did that twice since it was to nicely dust the dishes and shelves and counter and rearrange the dishes. I note that where she dusts, she doesn't rearrange things. I expect her to improve a lot and under my charge. 10 nights in the bar room arrived and with a red-coated band. Bud was all nervous, but the music soothed him. I want to know, are the plaids showing much in the windows in common goods? I suppose stripes are past. What is shown mostly for wastings, not what is now worn, but in the fall goods in the windows?
Dearest Papa and Mama, this is a beautiful sunny morning with a slightly cool wind blowing. I am not feeling homesick, but feel as if I am needed at home. Am I? Seems as if Mama would need me to get meals and keep house. A Latin test given by Miss Hamilton Friday worried me some, but I asked help and a better memory and received it. I have such peace of mind. You two have to work so hard all week, and Saturday too, and I work so little on Saturday. It seems selfish, my being so much expense and doing nothing. So many girls are here who are homesick, and I thought I ought to repay them by helping and strengthening them. I hope I shall be a power for good in anything which I take part. All your daughter's love,
And after this letter comes a note.
In the meantime occurred the visit home.
Home was Elmdale, 20 miles west of Emporia, but the voice is out of place. It's not Julia's, and whoever was copying started the next letter and then scratched it out and inserted the sentence on the visit home. Anyway, to get home, she would have taken the Santa Fe train west and come back, probably on the eastbound 1150 train, gotten off the station at 3rd and Neosho, and taken the streetcar to the college. Perhaps she would have stopped at her boarding house to drop off the food and clean clothes she would have brought back with her.
Dearests, made my 5th hour recitation all right. I'm glad to see me, seemed cordial, seemed nice to me. I thank God over and over again for his multiplied kindnesses. You do the same. Take care of yourselves. Lovingly.
And pinned, again with a rusting, heavy, straight pin to the bottom of the page.
I successfully explained the most difficult example in arithmetic recitation. Made me feel much better.
The letters increasingly refer to how she feels. Homesickness or physical ailment. At any rate, the official school bulletin of what is expected in a recitation is formidable. According to the normal school bulletin, the ideal recitation should have accuracy as to facts and principles, readiness in the presentation of subject matter, confidence in positions taken and an ability to support them, appropriateness of language, interest in the work, success in grasping new thought, evidence of growth in powers as well as knowledge, disposition to self-criticism and to profit by it, promptness in doing supplementary work, originality in invention, correct manner in sitting, standing, speaking, etc., and proper written work. No wonder she's worried.
My dearest Papa and Mama, this is Sunday, and though it is not my usual custom to mail letters on Sunday, I will consider this an exception to the rule. I am feeling fine today, that is, physically. We, Miss Meyer, Miss Moore, Miss Clinkscale, and myself, attended the Bell-Let Society and had a very pleasant time. I am feeling so comfortable I think I shall not come home. Might stir me all up again. Then Miss Meyer would have to clean the room all by herself. Just love your letters, Mama. Send as often as convenient. Yours ever thankful for blessing. Love.
And the beginning of another letter.
Uncle Sidney's death is hard for me to realize.
Sidney Breese, one of the early Chase County settlers, was an upright and vigorous man, and if we can trust the Chase County historical sketches, he was also a wonderful storyteller. He was elected county clerk in Cottonwood Falls in 1872, married to Teresa L. Young, a woman of strong Christian character, great strength of mind, and much charm. The death of Sidney Breese occurred around 1902. We don't have any pictures of Sid Breese, but we do know a lot more about Julia and her family from this letter.
I can feel how fortunate our little trio is. Contrast your blessings with others' misfortunes, and they will be increased many-fold. How Sid and Harry will miss the generous hand and Aunt Reese as company. They were getting to the age of settling down and taking life peacefully, and just beginning to take pleasure in Harry's successes and Sid's prospects. But it is probably best for the boys in making them more independent and self-reliant. I can see that anxiety and care has been taken from Aunt Reese. But what will she do now? Where will she live? It will be so lonesome for her. Will Cousin Carrie continue teaching? Poor girl. What is this to teach her? What effect through Uncle's death? I often wonder how the death of any of we three would be for the good of the other two. May we always so live and be that we shall never, never need this awful thing as teaching. I do earnestly pray none of us will ever need this lesson. It is nearing dinner time, and I think of Mama fixing a little of this and a little of that, and then you both sit down at our dining room table, and while you eat, you discuss the events of the past week. What happened at Sunday school, how the different biographics were given, and maybe talk about me. While writing, I feel almost as if I were talking to you, until no one replies, and then write all the faster, and stop not an instant to await replies. The illusion is all right as long as I have something to say.
That last part is scored out, as if the copier could not bear the silence that writing, without an answering voice, brought. The next excerpts are random, scattered, hard to follow.
Papa, I wrote on the Magna Carta this week. I also wrote earlier in the week about a picnic. I had one pretty good thought in it, but I fear it was not well expressed.
And then the copier inserts.
On examining the essay, the thought was found to be,
realizing how late it was we started homeward, we had no burden as Papa had previously gotten our lunch baskets and had taken them home. But still we had a burden of our thoughts, for it was not that eye piercing, our very soul and perceiving our inmost feelings.
What deeds committed, words said, or even left unsaid will be our burden on our journey home.
On various pages of the long letter on the death of her uncle are bits of copied material. The first, on the second page, says,
Ask that I be as invulnerable against the care and thought of braids as I ought to be.
The second, on page 7 of the letter, says,
The sun has driven the clouds around the horizons and shivers forth quite brightly. Well, I must go to dinner.
And the letters continue.
Dearests, I am feeling pretty fine, but it is because of the prospect of coming home and receiving of Mama's postals. This is our last week for dropping one subject. I am not going to take advantage of it, though. Pray about my test, Mama. My lessons are comparatively easy today. All love, Julia. Take care of each other. May you feel strong.
And then comes a note, written in and then scored out.
Extract from last letter sent home.
It's hard to tell if that letter was indeed the last letter because the writing goes on. But I promised myself not to cheat, not to look at the back of the book. And the letter sounds like another Julia, under another kind of pressure, younger.
Dearests, well, Momsey, I received your bestest letter. You are just blessed to be so good to write. Don't worry about me. I am feeling fine. My mental and physical in super excellent condition. The results of your letter today. Do care for yourselves and don't overdo, for then I will have to come home and help you. Not that I would object, but we would all be disappointed. Papa, I am glad and happy your knee is better. Don't cause it to swell any more by taking the heaviest part of the work. I am pretty well decided in keeping all my subjects. With God's help, I will get along all right. No, indeed, I will go to Lawrence when I have a chance of coming home. I will surely come home. Do not clean up at all for my sake. It makes me feel conscience smit. Ask God's blessing for me, and I shall do it for you. With all my love, Julia Breese. Spoke to Mrs. Taylor and Hamilton. Both wish me to continue and say my work is satisfactory. I feel fine this afternoon. No nerves in evidence. Dearests, Mama's card received. I shall not go to Latin. Am feeling pretty good. Ask God to help me to perceive readily in arithmetic. We'll have a rhetoric test tomorrow. Love to my two dearests, Julia. Do care for yourselves for my sake. Write me all your troubles.
From the All-School Bulletin, the college newspaper, October 22nd, 1903, a short notice. Julia Breese has gone home on account of sickness. The next letter in the composition book is titled. The title reads, Letter from Mrs. Breese to her husband from San Antonio.
Julia's joy was great over her fine valentine and candy. She says you've just got to come down here so she can hug you and kiss you for them. It was a joyful little time when the mail came, and the dear girl is brighter for it. She is hoping God will heal her and speaks confidently about it. Her sweet face looked so good this morning and the fever was less. The dear Papa, she says, it was a thoughtful gift and he is so busy. It is not only a beautiful gift, but the giver makes it more precious. What wonderful, wonderful blessings I have. They just seem to shower upon me.
The fever is probably tuberculosis, consumption as they called it, perhaps contracted on her trips by train or at the college. No one knew how the disease was spread, but it was often fatal.
Spoke often of what a lucky girl she was, and always had been. Recounted her blessings over and over.
And then, turning the page of the old composition book, a yellowed newspaper clipping, a dark line above the headlines, and the title simply says, Julia Breese. Julia M. Breese, born in Elmdale, Kansas, February 15th, 1887, died in San Antonio, Texas, March 4th, 1904. It has been said as our Father looks over the earth's garden, he takes the fairest of the flowers and we know that to her was given an abundant entrance into heaven. We pray earnestly that her influence will remain here for further good and feel that she has a work to do in the world beyond. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. The obituary is a long one, much longer than this, full of flowery language, praise for Julia's work. I never knew a more riper Christian life. She was an especial companion and comfort to her aged grandmother. The obituary perhaps comforted the mother, such kind words about a daughter who so loved her parents. But though this ends the mystery of the copied letters, it isn't the end of the story. The notebook continues with a variety of materials. An extract from an essay written by Julia and copied by her mother.
Nearby, another field in which was long straight rows of wheat on whom the sun had finished his work. The wheat is like many a life that in youth has made the best of its environments and goes forth to sacrifice itself for the good of others, not aspiring to fame, but desiring to do the most real good. Presently we see the smoke curling upwards from several chimneys, so start toward home to again take up the daily burdens of life.
And then after a blank page or two, Mrs. Breese writes along the edge of her copied letters.
Use such of these as you wish.
We don't know, perhaps shall never know, to whom this note was written. Yet her desire was evidently to make of these pitiful scraps some kind of memorial, a book or a pamphlet. She must have had encouragement from someone else, a friend or a relative, someone who sympathized with her mother's grief.
A morning or two before she died, she had been lying silent for some time when she asked,
Mama, what is that verse? Commit thy way unto the Lord.
And now, for the first time, Mrs. Breese speaks of herself.
I gave the verse, asking if she was committing her way unto him. She had for some time been hoping to do just the work God had in mind for her to do. The minister asked her if she loved God more than her father or mother. The honest little soul studied for a few minutes and then said she thought she did. The day before the night she died, she was breathing short, but so many times when I came to her, she smiled up at me, such strong, brave smiles, as if saying, Mama, don't worry about me, be happy. A friend called Wednesday afternoon, and I told her I was alarmed over Julia's condition. We were by ourselves in another room, and I told her how the tears were on the surface, ready to come with me for the past day. And she spoke so earnestly of Julia's bravery in controlling her feelings and said, surely you can be as brave as she is. Julia was so patient and brave in facing her death that I surely must not be less so, that I should be an encouragement to her and must trust God. The talk was so strong and inspiring that I was enabled to have calmness until the end.
And after a long pause, indicated by blank lines in the book.
Julia wondered what God had for her, that she should be ill so long, and finally decided it must be patience. It was something she possessed already in fullness.
This is the last coherent narrative in the book. The rest is filled in with quotations. Whom the gods love, die early. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God.
The last day, twice when the temperature was taken, the fever was less, and her earnest praise the Lord followed each time. We called our little family the trio or the triangle. As her soul was passing out, I held her hands as the prophet held the mantle of Elijah. An abundant entrance into heaven. If the Father loves better than us, what might the welcome be? We can only fancy what a welcome we would give her if she came back.
But the grief of the mother cannot be sustained in the language of the time. These painful recollections and attempts to make Julia exalted, yet loving and vital, simply break down.
She was the one who walked in the light. She was cheerful, unselfish, so very patient. She loved animals, particularly horses. The horses knew and loved her and always came to her expecting a treat. She was a faithful Bible student. She was a very energetic, very busy, willing worker, utterly sweet, sunny disposition, a good musician. She was so patient and uncomplaining.
And then just phrases, broken, underlined as though the underlining could make the qualities come to life.
So very pure-minded, an earnest Christian, the ripest, the sweetest, the purest Christian I ever knew, fittest for heaven. Industrious, loyal, thorough. School grades are 92, 92, 95. Rhetoric, Latin, arithmetic. Oh, my blessed, blessed mama.
And then a final poem, copied from Julia's English book.
Earth which seemed to the Father breast, but as a pilgrim's wayside rest, a mighty shelter to fold away when the Lord shall call at break of day.
The title of the book will likely be A Very Successful Life.
The Chase County Historical Sketches has this to say about Julia Breese and her mother. To Mr. and Mrs. Bud Breese, one daughter, Julia, was born. She was a beautiful girl with a gracious and gentle personality and gave promise of an intellectually brilliant future. She passed from earthly life at the age of 17 on March 4th, 1904, at San Antonio, Texas, where her parents had taken her with the hope that the climate would be beneficial to her health. Her death was a blow from which the mother never recovered.